get everybody's attention, I just want to thank everybody for showing up. My name is Cole Andrews. I'm the athletic director for the school district. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm learning what the traditions are for the Hall of Fame, but I know this is the 6th annual Hall of Fame, and I just want to thank a few people before I turn it over to Andrew. Obviously, I want to thank the committee members for putting it all together. There's been a lot of work to get here today. Also, I want to thank Andrew McDonald, who has been basically spearheaded this for months now, and we would not be here if it wasn't for Andrew. So let's get a round of applause for Andrew. I won't be long, but I just want to say one thing. It's pretty neat. If you've seen, which I'm sure most of you have seen the Hall of Fame wall by my office. I have I'm fortunate enough to go through there and look at that every day and see what greatness is about, so I can come in and do the best I can every day. And this is a really, really neat thing, and hopefully keep this tradition going and make this even better, this process better each year. So I'm really excited to be here, and I will turn over to Andrew McDonald, who's put all this work together. So thank you very much, and enjoy the night.
Kind of forced him to do that, so sorry. Well, I want to start off tonight. I had a speech prepared and everything. We lost, as I was walking through the Hall of Fame, I know we started this year. I'm a science teacher at the middle school, and we were at our after school, we got our big breakfast, and Mr. Throne did a really nice thing for 2 Hall of Fame members. So at this time, I'd like a kind of a moment of silence for Andy Bassasino. He was one of the initial class of Athletic Hall of Fame members, and Helen Smith. So, brief moment of silence for those 2. Okay. So, I'd like to thank, just like Cole said, I'd like to thank all this year's inductees, their families, members of the community, and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. We've put a lot of time into this, and for all of you, I've met a lot of family members that traveled here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. For me, the Hall of Fame effort's a labor of love. I've worked for Oxford schools for 15 years, so it's become a passion of recognizing the excellent athletics that we have at this high school. I'd like to personally thank all the committee members who helped make tonight possible. Although some of them could not make it tonight, I'd like our committee members to please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. I know some of them are out there. Todd Dunkley, you helped out this summer. John Thaler, Joe Ferrari, Steve Laidlaw. They're probably all getting ready for the Michigan State-Oregon game. John Thaler. I appreciate all their efforts, though. It's truly a group effort to do this experience. Tonight I'd like to begin with a journey from the past and into the future. 30 years ago in 1985, an important movie was released, Back to the Future. The premise of the movie was decisions that people make in the past could affect the future. I believe in sports that sometimes we always live in the now and we forget about the past. The purpose of the Hall of Fame gives us the opportunity in helping students, now and in the future, understand that all of your achievements were accomplished only through great character, teamwork, and adversity. Learning from and dealing with failure is one of the greatest gifts extracurricular athletics can provide to student athletes. In addition to learning to overcome failure, the second major purpose of the Hall of Fame, and interscholastic athletics for that matter, is to teach children the value of hard work and appreciating the success and failures that they may have had in their high school careers. To all of this year's inductees and members of the Hall of Fame, thank you for the example and high standards that you have established. Congratulations, and I sincerely hope you enjoy this evening. Thank you. I have to stay up here. So at this time, I'm going to invite up Paul McDivitt to introduce the first Hall of Fame inductee.
Thank you, Andrew. You did a fantastic job this summer putting this all together. And as over the years about the ceremony of being inducted in the Hall of Fame and how we can get more of our athletes involved in it and grow it and make it a bigger ceremony. You know, really, that's icing on the cake. The true value of the Hall of Fame is what you've accomplished to get into it. Because once you're into it, it's something that nobody can ever take away. And you have yourself cemented a history in the history of Oxford athletics. And that's a big deal. And the mural out in front of the athletic office in the gym, and the very select company out of the thousands and thousands of athletes that come through Oxford High School, being part of that rare group of people who get to be part of the Hall of Fame is a very big honor. Tonight is very special for all of those, the 4 people who are being inducted. And the first person going in tonight was a football player and a wrestler. And I was his wrestling coach in high school, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the memories I have of Tony Lasotis. Tony was a very good athlete. Had come up through our wrestling in our club, came in as a freshman as a very skilled and good wrestler, and we knew we were going to expect greatness out of him. He came in on a team that was just starting to really make a name for itself. And for those of you who don't know, Oxford wrestling has been pretty successful over the past 15 years. We've got state championships, a couple state runner-up, 4 or 5 state semifinals. And really, Tony was part of that initial building blocks of getting that program established. And he was on the team that made his first trip out to the state quarterfinals and went to the state semifinals. And he was part of those Oakland County championships and the league championships. And it was all very, very beginning of when we started going from a cellar dweller kind of team in the Flint Metro League to being one of the dominant teams in the league. Tony, as he grew with this team, he had a lot of really good kids around him that pushed him all the time, and it made him better and better. And at the same time Tony was coming up, just down the street here was one of arguably the best wrestlers in the state of Michigan, and just so happened to be at the same weight class as Tony. And his name was Roger Kitsch. He was a 4-time Michigan State champion. He was an All-American, the high school national champion. Went on, have a good college career. Just a phenomenal wrestler in the state of Michigan, one of the best of all time. Happened to come around at the exact same time as Tony, exact same age, and at the exact same weight. And Tony, in the same league, just down the road. And the chances of that happening were, pretty rare. So Tony could beat everybody. But when he had to wrestle Roger, those were always some really good matches. But Roger always got the best of Tony. Tony hated to lose. Tony was a competitor. He hated to lose. And Roger knew this. And Roger used to do these little things, Tony, just to get Tony, because Tony never lost. His junior, senior, he beat everybody. And when he would get into a match against Roger, and he'd start being down by a few points and get taken down, Tony would get frustrated, he'd get angry, he'd get even more pumped up. And Roger would do little things like give him a little pat on the butt as they go out of bounds. And that would make Tony even more angry. And then Roger would take him down out of bounds, and the ref would be like 2, Tony would be coming back to the center all fired up and mad, and Roger just kind of lean on him a little bit. Nothing that the ref could see as being unsportsmanlike or anything, but just enough to make Tony turn around and shove him. And then the ref would make be like 1 point unsportsmanlike, Tony, you're falling into his games. And they were both at 189 pounders, and they were both in the same division, and everyone knew they were the number 1, number 2 guys in the state. But they were going to see each other in districts, see each other in regionals, which would put them on opposite sides of the bracket for the state tournament, which means they would meet up in the state finals. And I was talking to Tony, and I was like, being in the state finals is going to be awesome, and we'll see what happens there. And Tony looks at me and he's like, Coach, I didn't start wrestling to be second, because I want to be a state champion. I'm going to go up a weight class of 215. Now going from 189 to 215, it's a big jump. And it's a whole different style of wrestling. He hadn't done it all year long. I said, no, Tony, I don't think so. I said, we don't even know if you'll be able to place at 215. Those kids are much bigger, much stronger, wrestle a totally different style. Go 189, get to the state finals, we'll see what happens. No, coach, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to win a state championship this year. I'm going up to 215 and win a state championship. And I said, all right. And didn't know what would happen. He went up, bumped up to that weight class where he was probably the smallest kid on the chart, and he won it. He won a state championship at 215. And then went on to have a great Division I college career wrestling at Eastern Michigan. He's captain of the team. Probably one of the best, if not the best, captain that I've ever coached. Because not only did he lead by example, but he was one of the biggest kids on the team, so everyone was afraid of him. He said the right things. He was tough, but yet the kids liked him. Everybody wanted to be Tony. So whatever Tony did, all the kids wanted to be like Tony, so that they would follow him. And he was one of those captains that was like, he didn't have to yell at the kids. He just had to do it, and everybody would follow him because they wanted to be just like him. And we had some really great years with Tony as one of our wrestlers. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Tony Lasotis. State champion.
Thank you very much, Coach. I really appreciate that. Very kind words. I'm going to try and keep this a little bit shorter. Not as prepared as these guys are, I guess. First off, I just want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me to be a member of the 2015 Hall of Fame class. It's truly an honor. I would also like to thank my coaches that I had along the way that helped make today possible. Of course, Paul and Chris McDevitt, Coach Cox, my football coaches, Coach Bean, Coach Rue, Coach Fish, Coach Brown, Coach Wander, and of course, Coach Rowley. And I'd also like to mention my college coaches, Del Porto, Coach John Lange, Charlie Branch, and Scott Lucas. It takes a very dedicated, selfless, and honorable person to take on the coaching mantle. And these men have it in spades. Not to mention, they're all a little bit crazy and gluttons for punishment. But I must say, I know for a fact that without this group of men guiding me, I would not be standing here before you today receiving this prestigious honor. These men took a headstrong, stubborn, reckless young rebel with a penchant for finding trouble wherever it hid, and forced him to find a leader within himself. It would have been very easy for these men, for a man of lesser conviction, to give up on that boy. But these men stuck with me despite my own best efforts to the contrary. They saw in him a potential for greatness, and through hard work, discipline, and accountability, they were able to unearth the man you see before you today. So it is from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for your patience, confidence, and unwavering belief in me. And I'm sure my parents would as well. On that note, I would also like to thank my parents, Andres and Debbie, for their innumerable hours they spent on the sidelines or in the stands, losing so many weekends to all-day meets, drives to all corners of the country, and so many practices. Their years of dedication and sacrifice through nearly 15 years of competition cannot easily be measured. But it's safe to say without them, I would not be able to accomplish half of the achievements without them. Their love and support is truly unparalleled. Also, I'd like to say a thank you and kudos to the community of Oxford and the athletic department. It's been several years since I've been back in town, and I am truly dumbfounded at the field, the high school, this beautiful auditorium, and the facilities here are just absolutely breathtaking. come a long way from the days of arguing with the cheerleaders over who gets the mats, or praying for rain because your practice field has turned into a dust bowl, or sharing a squat rack with 10 different dudes. It really warms my soul to see that tradition of excellence these coaches and athletes, it warms my soul to see that the tradition of excellence that these coaches and athletes like the Bryers, Eric Gajcek, and myself helped to build has continued on through all these years. Oxford, you continue to exceed all expectations. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but it is my belief that there is no more positive influential force in a community and a student's development than a thriving athletic program. Competition helps mold boys and girls into the men and women who will lead the next generation. In closing, again, I want to thank the committee, the Hall of Fame committee, for this great honor. Oxford, keep up the good work, and go Wildcats. Thank you. Good night.
Up next is Tiffany Brown. I'll say, do you want me to say words about you?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, Tiffany. Good evening. It is such an honor to stand before you today and receive this award. I was previously asked through a friend to be part of this prestigious group of athletes, and initially I resisted and turned down the opportunity because I've always thought of myself as the girl who just simply liked playing a game that I happened to love. But I changed my mind when I reflected on the people in my life that helped me achieve my goals so many years ago. Looking back to my days as an Oxford athlete, I am filled with great memories. Memories such as the love and support of my family, the fun-filled friendships, many of which I still have today, my coach, Mr. Ian Smith, and his beloved wife, Mrs. Smith, who dedicated so much of her time and energy to keeping stats through the years. I am very thankful for my family, as I have fond memories of being super excited to see my parents and siblings in the stands supporting me. Thinking back, I can still picture my mom sitting in the stands, knitting and watching the games. It's true, we don't know how she did it, but she could knit and watch the games all at the same time. I owe a big thank you to Mr. Smith, who was not just an outstanding coach, but an outstanding person. He taught me so many life lessons along my athletic journey. Things like what it means to make and keep a commitment to working hard, to never give up on your dreams, and how a team always performs at its best when all players can come together as one and support each other. He is a big reason why I am standing here tonight, and I am and will forever be grateful. The lessons I learned as a lady cat over 27 years ago have served me well, and I plan to continue to work hard and do the best I can, God willing, for many more years. I'd like to say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for all of your hard work. It is much appreciated. Thank you to all those who coached, supported, and encouraged me through the years. And a huge thank you to my loving husband, Tim, my 4 children, Cameron, Kirsten, Connor, and Karen, who are here with me tonight. I am truly blessed, and thank you.
Okay, Willie tonight is Willie Bryers is unfortunately unable to be here. He's coaching high school football down in Westlake, Ohio. He has a big, I talked to him last night actually, very cool event. They're doing a Coaches Against Cancer-like type game. So if you know anything about Ohio and football, it's going to be a very large crowd. So I was going to read Willie's bio for everyone. I think that since he can't express his experiences as an athlete in person, I'll read a little bit about him. This 8-time Wildcat letter winner led a resurgence in the Oxford football and wrestling program in the early 2000s. I will say this about Willie. He was my first state champion that I've ever worked with. And I truly believe that, I talked to Paul McDivitt about this, Willie helped lay the foundation for the dynasty of Oxford wrestling. It's very fortunate as an athletic trainer to be able to always say every year, you know what, Oxford, we compete for championships. I know that. I've worked Oakland County Wrestling. I've been to the state finals. It is so nice to say, yep, my wrestling team is always competitive. Willie Breyer, I think, really set the bar high. And Tony Lashotis, who's in the room, I give you two a lot of credit for that. As a 3-year starter on the varsity football team, Willie was a tenacious defensive end and tight end, and was twice named All-Flint Metro League. During his sophomore year, the Wildcats claimed FML and MHSAA regional championships before falling to Farmington Harrison in the MHSAA Class A semifinals, finishing 10-2. During his junior year, the Wildcats claimed another FML championship before finishing 10-1 and succumbing to Flint Powers Catholic in the MHSAA district final. His finest contribution to Oxford High School was with the wrestling program. As a sophomore, Willie went 42-13 and placed 4th in the 189-pound Division II finals. Actually doing some research about Willie, I learned this. He picked up wrestling, am I right, Coach McDivitt, in 9th grade. His football coach, Coach Rowley, said, you know what, you're going to get tougher by competing in wrestling. And Willie decided to go out for wrestling, so not a bad introduction to wrestling. As a sophomore, Willie went 42-13. Okay, I read that. As a junior and senior, he captured league, district, and regional championships. As a junior, Breyer finished with a 50-2 record and was state runner-up. During his senior season, Willie dominated the competition and added the Oakland County Championship to his impressive resume, one of the finest wrestling tournaments in the nation. At the state finals, he won the 215-pound individual championship and finished with a 51-0 record. He led the wrestling program to their first FML and Oakland County team championships, becoming the only Division II school to reach this distinction. In addition, Willie traveled to the national championships. I'll let Coach McDivitt tell you about that. And when he graduated, he finished his career as a leader in wins, pins, season pins, and season wins. Breyer chose to attend the University of Michigan to continue his education and earn 3 varsity letters in wrestling. Willie qualified his senior year for the national championships at the 197-pound weight class and was ranked in the top 10 in the nation at his weight class during his junior and senior years. During his time at the University of Michigan, Breyer placed 4th in the Big Ten tournament at the 197-pound weight class and was named Big Ten Wrestler of the Week during the 2006 season, and the Wolverines finished national team runner-up during the 2005 season. Breyer currently lives in Westlake, Ohio, and I've already mentioned how he coaches football and he's a special education teacher. So, Paul McDivitt would like to share some thoughts. Him and his brother Chris, you coming up with him, or just Paul? They wanted to speak a little bit about Willie. I think they had some good stories to tell since he's not here.
Well, what can I say about Willie Breyer? As Andrew had mentioned, he was someone who really kind of got the ball rolling for us, set the bar high, and he wasn't all that good as a freshman. He was new to it, lost a lot. Sophomore year, he was quite the competitor, though. He was a very competitive kid, and in his sophomore year, it was strange. Some of the best kids in the state, there's like 6 or 7 of them, were all at his weight class. They were all like local kids, and they were in our league and in our county, and so it seemed like every week he'd have to go and take on someone who was one of these state-ranked kids. And I think he said like he lost 13 or 14 times in his sophomore year, but ended up placing 4th in the state. It was because of his competitive desire to not lose, but yet he had to compete against these really good kids. that really raised the bar for himself, for where he thought he had to be, which was kind of unrealistic, but I never told him that. I was like, Willie, you're just a sophomore. You're going against these juniors and seniors who are these state-ranked kids, but he just didn't want to lose to them. So he thought that he was good enough that he had to be able to beat these kids. And throughout his sophomore year, he'd win sometimes, he'd lose sometimes, but then as the year went on, he started learning how to beat these kids, and he started consistently beating some of the best kids in the state. And then we got to the state tournament. He actually could have been probably state runner-up that year. It was at Joe Louis. It was a late night. There was a fire. He ended up wrestling his first match. It was like 10:30 at night that first night, and he lost the match that he should have never lost. And he battled all the way back and got back to the third, fourth place match. And that was a sophomore year, and we were just all like, wow. This kid's unbelievable. Where did this come from? How did he do this? And then in his junior year, he came in and he started by that time, all those older kids had graduated, and there wasn't any more competition for him like there was every single week in his sophomore year. And he was the cream of the crop. He started just beating everybody. And he got to the state finals, and he doesn't want me to tell you this, but he got to the state finals and he lost to the kid that he beat the weekend before in the regional finals. He probably should have been a two-time state champion. He lost to a kid that he should have beat. He just wasn't ready. Just wasn't ready for it that day. But then in the senior year, there was nobody that could come close to him. And he's 215 pounds. He's a big one. He's a big kid. And as a coach, it was so nice going anywhere, anytime, to any tournament, anywhere in the state, knowing that I had a kid on my team that nobody could beat. Nobody. You bring out your best kid. I don't care what weight he's at. You bring out your best kid. He's not beating my kid. And I used to tell coaches that. And we had this. We were wrestling in the. I can't remember if it was districts or regionals against Hartland, a team that was ranked above us all year and had beaten us early in the year pretty bad. And we were wrestling them in a state tournament against. And we decided, in order to beat them, we're going to have to adjust our lineup. We're going to have to put Tony up a weight class and Timmy up a weight class, and we're going to try to do this strange kind of thing. And they had beaten us pretty soundly earlier in the year. And sure enough, we chipped away, and it started paying off until it came down to the last match. The last match, I had to bump Willie from 215 up to heavyweight. And their heavyweight was 285 pounds solid, and he was the #1 ranked heavyweight in the state. I don't think he had lost yet this year. And we were down by 5. And so I turned to Willie. The only way we can win, Willie, is if you go out there and you pin their #1 ranked heavyweight, bumping him up a weight class. And I looked at Willie, I said, you think you can pin that kid? He goes, oh yeah, coach, I'll pin him. And in the first period, Willie shot on him and picked this big kid up. And these big kids aren't used to being picked up. You saw in this kid's face, he was like, whoa! And Willie's got him up in the air, and he slams him down, and he cradles him up, and puts him on his back, and the kid had never been on his back, and he pinned him. And we were like, we just beat Heartland. My 215 pounder just bumped up, took the #1 kid in the state, and stuck him, and we won the duel. And that was Willie Breyer for him. He was just, and he didn't look like anything tough. He wasn't like these 215 pounders who are chiseled and big and athletic. He was kind of short, kind of had a little bit of a belly, didn't look like he was the superstar that he was. So you take people by surprise. People look at him and say, that's Willie Breyer? I'd heard a lot about him, but that's who you're talking about? And he'd come out and he had this incredible, I don't know what you call it. We just call him a freak. Strength, drive, just something that you don't see. It's just one of those special things that you only see in very rare people. And after he won his state championship, he told me, Coach, I want to go out to nationals. And we were just starting to emerge from being a terrible, terrible team to start to become a good team. And so nobody had ever gone out to nationals before. We didn't even know what that was. I didn't know what to expect. I said, okay, sure, go ahead and register. You have to be a state champion to get invited to go to nationals. So he was a state champion, so he registered and he started training pretty much on his own. He was down there with the weights every day. He rolled out a little piece of mat. Because now it's springtime, everyone's into other sports, and he was kind of training all on his own. And I looked at his chart. It's got 50 to 60 kids on it, and they're all 185 and 2, 3-time state Maryland champion, and just very impressive records. And Willie had one state championship. And we get there and we go to weigh-ins, and there's Willie standing there. You know, he's shorter than me, stocky, and I'm looking at these like Adonises of kids. You know, they're just ripped and like muscle. They look like these superb athletes weighing in. And I'm like, oh yeah, you sure you know what we're getting ourselves into? This is 215. These are the best kids in the nation, and didn't really know what to expect. Because Willie really didn't have any competition all year long. He beat everybody, and it just seemed like there was just nobody that was even close to him that year. So I didn't know what to expect out of nationals. So he goes out there, in the first 2 days of the tournament, he, what we call tech fall, means you beat him by 15 points or more. He either pinned or tech falled every single opponent all the way to the national semifinals. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He was just made it look easy. And we, that night, me and a couple of our other coaches were hanging out at a restaurant at night, and all these college coaches and scouts from around the nation are all at this place. And we're all sitting there, and they start coming up to me. And here I am, I'm pretty new to coaching, so I'm still in my first few years and just starting to like take a program that wasn't very good, and now I'm starting to get a little bit of respect. And I have all these Division I college coaches come up to me going, Willie Breyer, is that your kid? Hey, can we talk to you? Hey, you got a card here? Take my card. You know, hey, let me buy you a drink. Let me do this. You know, and it's like Penn State and Michigan and Oklahoma and all these big time coaches that I, as a kid, was always like, you know, these great coaches, they're all coming up to me and talking to me, and I felt like a celebrity in there. And I was like, wow, you know, Willie Breyer, something special. He ended up losing in the semifinals and battling back and taking third in the nation. But it was just one of those things that, for me as a coach, it was a rare moment I will never forget. And Willie provided a lot of those. And, you know, I talked to him a couple days ago, and he really wanted to be here, but he said, you know, when I'm committed to something, coach, you know I'm committed to it. And this is a big game for us, and I can't leave my team, and I got to coach this. And I said, yeah, I understand, Willie. But, you know, he did a lot for me as a coach and a lot for us as a program. And he really set the bar for Tony and for his younger brother, Timmy. And I remember sitting there at that national tournament, and his mom says to me, now you got to get his little brother to do the same thing. Well, at the time, Timmy was 2 years younger, was a sophomore, and he wasn't all that good either. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be a stretch. But Willie set that bar, and these younger kids believed that that's what they had to do next. And for many years after that, through Kyle Rowley and Tim Breyer and Tony Lasotis and on, they all thought that by the time they were seniors, they had to be state champions because Willie had done it, and we were all going to do it. And sure enough, his younger brother Timmy went on to be a state champion, and Tony, state champion. And then we had, you know, several years after that, all these kids were like state runners-up and state champions, and it really has just continued for us. And Willie was the one who really kind of set that bar. And you've heard the old saying, you know, iron sharpens iron, so one man will sharpen the other. That's no more true than in wrestling. Willie Breyer was a state champion because of his wrestling partner that he had to wrestle every single day. He's a Hall of Famer, Oxford Hall of Famer, who was put in here a few years ago by the name of Eric Gajcek. He too was a state champion wrestler, played in the NFL. Those two were partners every day. Neither one of them wanted to lose to the other. And in practice, they would battle. And that was their toughest competition, was in practice every day. They go out in the meets, and they beat everybody. Because that was easy, just going out in the competition, because every day in practice, they had to go against each other. Tony had the same thing. He was younger, and so he would wrestle with Willie, but Willie would beat him. But as Willie graduated, Tony came up with Willie's younger brother, Tim. And together, those two battled every day in practice until by their senior years, they were the best. And they both went on to be state championship back to back. You know, Tim will be in the Hall of Fame one day too. And that's the kind of thing that you need, is someone to not only a coach to push you, but when you have the competition every day that does it too. It made it a really fun atmosphere to coach in. And those were all competitive kids, and they all did it together. And I'm very proud of every single one of them. Tony, Willie, Eric, and Tim, they all set the foundation for us to be a great wrestling program. So, although Willie isn't here to accept his Hall of Fame honor. His dad is here to accept it on behalf of him. So, Mr. Breyer, if you want to come on up.
Just like everything I tell them, just hard work and humility.
I'd like to introduce Ray Sarland.
Good evening. Tonight I have the honor and privilege to introduce one of the greatest student athletes to graduate from Oxford High School, Carrie Meister. Carrie finished her junior and senior years at Oxford High School, where she made an immediate impact in the classroom and on the track. In the classroom, while taking some of Oxford's most demanding classes, she earned a spot in the top 10 of her class, as we did not recognize a valedictorian. After high school, she attended Tarkio College on a track and academic scholarship and later graduated from Tennessee Knoxville, summa cum laude, with a degree in medical technology. Athletically, Carrie also excelled. She became a natural leader by example her junior year and was named captain her senior year. During her 2 years at Oxford, Carrie led her teams to a 19-1 dual meet record, 2 Flint Metro League championships where she earned 6 gold medals, and also to the state finals. At states, Carrie became Oxford's first state champion and only state champion, running the 800 in a school record time that stood for nearly 25 years. But Carrie was not finished for the day at states. She still had the 4x400 to run. Our team was seeded 24th out of 24 teams. So we ran first in first of 3 heats, the slowest heat. Our goal was to medal in this relay, and to do so we would need to place in the top 8. So, with Carrie as our anchor leg, the girls ran the best race of the season with perfect handoffs, and we placed 8th. To this day, Carrie still gets more excited talking about her team placing in states than her own individual state championship. As I said before, she is a true team leader. Tonight, Oxford High School, a proud Meistrich family, and I are happy to introduce Carrie Meistrich into Oxford's Athletic Hall of Fame.
I'm Carrie's husband of 25 years almost, and I'm a poor substitute for you hearing directly from my beautiful wife for this prestigious honor that you're giving her. I've watched her for 18 years run the race of her life in battling the disease that she has, and that's the reason I'm going to talk before her. She just would never make it through this 90-minute speech. Her voice is weak. She does talk with a beautiful ALS accent, and I love her dearly, but I just want you to know that these are her words and not mine. She wrote them from her heart, and it would be better for you to look at her than to look at me. I can honestly say that. So here's her words for the evening. It's a privilege to be here. and an honor to receive this recognition. Thank you to my family who took time to share this moment with me. I'm so happy all my children could be here, and a big thanks to my coach, Mr. Sutherland, who came all the way from Florida to be a part of this special weekend. I appreciate each of you. I honestly was surprised when Mr. Ferrari contacted me via Facebook about 2 months ago. I wondered if it was legitimate or some kind of scam. My first question was, why me? I wouldn't be here today receiving this award without the influence that my parents had on me. Although I couldn't truly see and appreciate it when I was a teenager, they taught me the value of hard work. They taught me that any job worth doing was worth doing right, and always do and give my best. This served me well in school, on the track, and through every aspect of my life. Another man who had a big influence on building my character here at Oxford High School was Mr. Agar, my chemistry and physics teacher. Boy, was he tough. And those classes were really hard. School had usually been pretty easy for me, and I didn't have to work too terribly hard for my A's, but in his classes, nothing came easy. And what made it even more frustrating is that he wouldn't just give me the answers when I got stuck. He made me work through the tough problems, giving me just bare minimum help when necessary. He taught me to persevere, to be independent, to realize I could do the hard stuff, and that it wouldn't be easy. This also helped me be a better athlete and a better person. He was my favorite teacher and the one who gave me a detention for talking in class at course. And then there was my coach, Mr. Sutherland. He took someone who had no running experience and believed I could do great things. He trained me, challenged me, pushed me hard, and encouraged me. Making him proud and not letting my team down were my biggest sources of motivation, along with my competitive desire to win. I was always the last leg of the 2-mile relay and the 1-mile relay because I was determined to track down the leader. While winning the state championship in the half-mile and setting the school record were my biggest athletic accomplishments, my biggest thrill came from winning 8th place in the mile relay at the state meet. We were not ranked, and we were in the slowest heat, but we all ran our best quarter-mile split, and our handoffs were beautiful, textbook perfect. We were so surprised and so thrilled to have medaled. Obviously, you can see much has changed since then. Being diagnosed with ALS, better known as Lou Gehrig's disease, at the age of 28 was definitely not in my plans. Being told you have 2 to 5 years to live when you had 3 kids, age 5 and under, is a really hard thing to hear. Losing the ability to use your arms and legs and having to rely on others for everything just seems simply unfair to a fiercely independent woman. But truly, all the training I had at home, in school, and on the track prepared me for life. Life is hard, but it is so good. I am blessed beyond measure. The reality is that only God knows the number of my days. Those 2 to 5 years have come and gone. 18 unexpected years have been a wonderful gift. I've tried to live by the words found in the Bible that say, "And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith." I'm still running my race and will continue to do so, giving my best until the Lord tells me the race is finished. Thank you.
So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Oxford Community Schools and a grateful community, it is my pleasure to induct the newest members of the Oxford High School Athletics Hall of Fame. Tony Lashotis, class of 2003. I guess, as I call your name, come on up here. Yep, Tiffany Brown, class of 1988. Willie Breyer, class of 2001. I'm gonna get you up here, Mr. Breyer. We need a group photo. You can actually go behind your flags. Yep. And Carrie Meistrick, class of 1988. I can kind of lead down to the athletic area if you're interested in seeing where their plaques will be. They get to take those plaques home, that's theirs, and you'll see where their plaques are. So feel free if you want to meet me outside of the Performing Arts Center, I'll help you out. Congratulations once again.